Hi everybody, thanks for coming back again this week to Music Made Easy, Piano Without Theory. Today I'm going to teach you how to take your piano playing skills from okay to really, really good. So one of the things that makes the biggest difference in playing the piano is actually using a pedal. Now, many of you that have played the piano have seen three pedals down there underneath the piano. I'm going to talk to you about all three of those today and what they do. And if you don't have a regular piano and you have an electronic piano or a keyboard, I'm going to talk to you about the pedal that can be used with those keyboards as well. So let's start today just by you being able to see the difference in how a pedal can change the way that a song sounds. Let's go back to the 1980s and play a song by REO Speedwagon. You'll recognize this song, I'm sure. Now, I'm going to play this song without using the pedal. It'll sound okay, but then we're going to play with the pedal and you'll be able to tell the difference. Listen to this. Now, I'm going to add the pedal to that and see if you can see the difference. I'll put the video right up here of the pedal so that you can actually see my foot playing the pedal. Do you hear how that sustains? I lift the pedal with every chord, but it's making all these sounds hold together. Notice that when I played this bottom note, when I played this before without the pedal, if I lift my left hand, that sound is gone. You don't even hear it. Now, I could just hold my left hand on these notes, and that sounds better, but it's kind of choppy up at the top. When I play my right hand, it's very choppy. Now when I add this pedal back, you hear all these sounds, including this really high note, just linger. And you see that I'm not even touching my left hand once I play the note. Now, let's talk about how these pedals even work. Let me know in the comments below, did you know what the pedals do on the piano? All three of them, or maybe just one? Let me know down below if you knew what all three pedals did. As we go through this lesson, when we finish, you'll know what all the pedals do and how to use them. Well, the first thing that you have to know is, on a real piano, the piano is made of strings, and each note is typically 3 strings, sometimes 2 strings. And when you play a note on the piano, a hammer actually comes down and strikes those strings. And there's a felt pad that holds, that lifts down on those strings, it rests on the strings. And so when you push a note, the pads actually come up off of that string, and that's what holds that sound. It rings, right? But if I just go like that, that's because the pad, if the strings are here, the pad was on. While I played the note, the pads came up, and then the pads drop as soon as I let off that key. Now, the sustain pedal, or the first pedal on the right, it will always be on the right of any piano. If you own a keyboard or an electronic piano, it's probably the only pedal that you have because it's so widely used. And I'll tell you, once you've used the pedal, you're never going to go back to not using the pedal because it makes your piano playing sound so much better. So when you press the pedal on a piano or a keyboard, it essentially lifts all the pads off of the strings so that the entire piano will resonate with that sound. So it's not only the strings that you're hearing, but it's actually the vibrations and the sound waves bouncing off the metal components within the piano. Now, with an electronic piano, they've mimicked that. They've actually went in and recorded a piano. And so, in fact, let me show you. I will press this pedal and I'll turn the volume up on my piano, and you'll actually be able to hear the pads, those felt pads coming up off of the strings. Listen to this. Can you hear those pads coming up? And when I let off the pedal, it drops them back down. That's how a piano works. Now, if you look at the other pedals, on a regular piano, the far left pedal is called the soft pedal, or the una corda. And what that does is it actually will shift the whole piano keyboard so that when that hammer strikes the strings, it's only going to strike one or two of the strings instead of two or three of the strings. That way, it makes a softer sound. And that's how that pedal works, is it basically just changes the action of those hammers. And that's why they don't necessarily use them on keyboards, electronic keyboards like this, because I can just reach over and turn the volume down, right? Now, the middle pedal on a piano, that is called the sostenuta pedal. And that pedal is so that you can play a note, and when you push that middle key, it will hold those notes, but like a sustain pedal, but on the top, it won't sustain the note. So it will only sustain the notes that you played right when you hit that pedal. Those two pedals aside, it's really the sustain pedal that you are going to want to use in all of your playing. Let me teach you, when is it that you raise your foot once you've pressed the pedal? Well, you want to use the pedal with chords that sound good, or notes that sound good together. So let's go back, and we've played this chord a lot. It's a standard C chord, C, E, and G. And what I'm going to do, and I know that I don't have the overhead camera here, so you're just being able to see these three notes from the main camera. But once we do this, I can play anything in this chord, and it sounds pretty good. Now, we talked about suspended chords, which is, I'm just going back and forth between a suspended chord. Now, see the difference when I use the sustain pedal. So I've lifted, I'm going to lift and press down, lift and press down, lift and press down, lift and press down. So it's separating that chord from that chord. Now, if you just press the pedal down and hold it, you can kind of hear it starts to get muddied because you start hearing too many notes in there, and that's when you know you've got to raise the pedal. But the best advice that I can give you is just lift your foot and press back down as soon as you change chords. So if you're on this chord, you've got your pedal pressed, and let's go to an F chord. I lift right after I press the keys and just leave it down. Now I'm going to go to a G chord, and we're going to do the same thing. So I lift my foot right when I strike that chord, and then I push it down. So my pedal isn't down when I actually hit the first set of that chord, but then I bring it down. And when I lift my hands, it just rings. And that is exactly how you finish a song. If you remember Keep On Loving You, how we finish that. And it just holds those notes for you. Beautiful, right? I hope that this has helped you understand what those pedals are for down there and how you'll use them to make your piano playing better than ever before. Thanks for being with me this week, and don't forget to come back next week. We've got some great stuff planned. Van Halen in the house next week. We're going to be teaching you one of the best songs ever from 1984, Van Halen. You're going to love that. Come back and don't forget to check out these other videos.